so we can be still.
And then remembering, oh no, school is tomorrow for my child, so there is no being still.
There is no being still. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Real on Parenting.
We are. It's all right.
We are your co-host, right? Or the host, but we are co-hosts. I'm Coach Kiana Shaw.
And I am therapist Danielle.
All right. And so today we are all excited because we have a couple of things going on. Aside from the whole mommy life that we have, right? Just being parents in general. We are also, because we got to give a shout out to Brownstone Worldwide.
Yes.
You can't see my shirt, but
oh man, we disappeared.
Where you got a backdrop? Yes. Listen, our show, thanks to you all.
Yes. So you get the point, right?
So random. Our show, y'all will see the pictures because we're going to do a photo shoot after it. But we are #1 on Brownstone Worldwide. Thanks to you all. So we are just really excited to be here and to be pouring into you guys every chance we get.
Yes.
Every episode. And so we are just excited,
but also just appreciative for the views, but also just seeing that hopefully what we've talked about, the topics that we talked about and information that we provided, and hopefully some insight and some chokeholds in a loving way, allowed you to.
Can we do love and chokeholds?
You can, with love, delicately.
Love. Okay.
But allowed you to see things in a different light about yourself, and how it can impact your relationship with your children.
And their other parent.
I was just gonna and their other parent. So I'm appreciative and happy and excited to be able to provide more topics and information during our additional series.
Right. So when we come back for the next season, which for Brownstone, I believe is season 3, but it'll be our second season.
Yeah.
But we're going to come back with more topics. Email us at therealonparenting at gmail.com, right? If there's any topic that you're just like, hey, I'm going through this, let us know if you want to remain anonymous or if you want us to use your name. We don't mind name dropping you, not at all. As long as it ain't no foolishness, we good.
Right. Right.
But let's kind of recap real quick. Like, what were some of our, I think we started with trauma parenting.
I think we did. We're looking down for our notes, okay? But I think we did start off with the trauma parenting. Within our series, we had various topics that we went very in depth on, and we wanted to kind of just use this last episode to recap some of that. So the trauma parenting was a very detailed one. That's probably the ones I'm talking about, the chokehold. You got you got it in love, but you got to get yourself. You got to be aware of what you're doing that is a trauma reaction, by way of parenting your own children,
so that we're not passing it down, because that's a bigger thing. Like, even though we've gone through what we've gone through, a lot of us feel like we're stronger because of it. A lot of us feel like we're strong in spite of it, right? I feel more of the in spite of, because I don't think that trauma makes you strong. It may make you resilient, but I don't necessarily agree that it makes you strong.
I wouldn't even say resilient. It is, I feel that that's the term that society has given to make it okay. It is it's emotional. No, it ain't it. That's looking like, no, that ain't it. It's emotional survival. If you call it resilience, it makes it just look prettier, but it still doesn't feel good.
See, this is the part that y'all don't get to see, because we be in our own space. So I'm writing notes. Y'all see, I got my pen. I normally hide this from y'all.
Yes, so that is emotional survival. And that's something that we're not default. Like, no one sits down and say, okay, honey, do this now. No, it's kind of like what has kind of transformed by way of the environment that you were in at that time and the dynamic, and what worked and didn't work by way of you being safe and whatever that entails. So sometimes that's kind of effective and healthy, and sometimes it's not. A lot of people who are perfectionists, a lot of people who low key.
Why you look at me like that?
Hey, my mama got me. Don't have me. I am functional. That's my disclaimer. I'm functional. I got to question that sometimes, but I am functional.
And everything goes smoothly when you're in charge.
Oh, does it? I appreciate that.
Listen, when I'm in charge, we may not, like the food might be missing from the food party. Like, yeah.
But with that, even though there are perks, if you will, even though there are benefits, it doesn't necessarily mean that internally and emotionally and mentally that actually is a healthy attribute for how someone functions. So,
right.
So it may look good, it's the obvious is when someone is a total mess, if you will. You can throw under what you choose in regards to what that would be. But when you have those who are a little bit more on the perfectionist side, when you have those that are a little bit more anal, it's more acceptable because of the fact that things are getting done. You can depend on that person, but then there comes to that default expectation, and it comes down to the caregiver. That's a whole nother season. But long story short, it's not resiliency. Not in a bad way. Not in a bad way. We learned it. We learned it. So, but in a way of by way of just emotional survival and learning how to not function from an emotional surviving place.
Now, I know we're just doing a recap, but I think that it's important that we give them at least a few tips on how to not pass that on, right? Because it's not just what we went through, but what we give to our children as a result. What happens when we don't handle our trauma, and now it's becoming our kids' trauma, and that's just on a parenting. Like, this is not a mommy issue. This is a parenting issue, and I think that a lot of times when we talk about emotional trauma, we talk about when dads left and when mom stayed. You know what I'm saying? And it's like the beatings and the anger and all of that. But it doesn't always have to include that. Sometimes it's just like I'm gonna give you an example. Okay. Because Kayla was going to ask her dad for something that he had already said no to. Okay. And my response was, let me tell you something. We do not beg men. Right.
Okay.
Now, and I'm starting with that. Okay. I was like, I don't care if it's your husband, your father. Like, if they say no, we either go without or we figure it out. Okay. And I felt something when I said it. Like, in the moment I said it. I'm glad. And I was just like, so I called a male friend, and he was like, well, why did you say men instead of just people in general? Right. That's my trauma response. Yes, you understand what I'm saying? So then, like, we had a conversation. I was like, how do I correct this for my kid? And in our conversation, he was just like, you were wrong for saying that. And I knew that. Like, I didn't need that. That's why I was asking about it.
Them extras.
Michael.
Right. The extras.
Right. But I had to go back to Kayla and go, listen, so mommy said something and I want to correct that with you, because I never want her to feel, one, that she can't ask her daddy a second time or ask her uncles a second time. Right. Their no is their no, but my response to the no was what was inappropriate, right? I don't like her asking me multiple times. I'd be like, when I said no, what did you hear? Right. Oh, so then we done talking about it.
Right. And right. You didn't you heard me think no, right? Right. So that goes back to But go ahead. I'm gonna let you.
I don't ask her if she heard me think no, but I do ask her, did you hear what I said?
That be coming out your mouth in a moment. See, the real, the stuff that just be just jumping out your mouth.
Right. And so I don't mean to traumatize it. So let's talk about just give me like 1 or 2 tips for the parents who need to heal or maybe get started on the journey of healing.
Right. So with that, the first thing you already did is you listen to your gut. Mm-hmm. We are, I would say, as Black women in general, we will quickly push to the side what we're feeling. Right. We don't listen to that more times than not. And usually, I don't know, for whatever reason, let me not even reference that because it's slightly inappropriate. However, but with that is like, one, if you feel you don't have that internal thing that whether that's that feeling or it doesn't exist, look at the response of your children. Look at their face. Look at their body language. Sometimes they may give you some words. Hey, every child is different. But with that, if you feel that you can't rely on you as far as being attentive to what your body is telling you, to be honest, then how is your child responding to you?
Right.
Are they looking more, did you basically punch them in the throat with some words? Did their face drop like, right. Or they may ask like, why? And asking why is not disrespectful. Asking why is not talking back. It's trying to understand the reason for your response. So, and then sometimes that's a whole nother thing too, but sometimes the reason for when if your child does ask you why, or say, I don't understand, or I don't get it, it forces you to ask yourself, why? Mm-hmm. Is this a me thing? Or is this a really in this situation type of thing? So listening to yourself, if you feel you can't listen to yourself, then looking at the response of your children. Okay. The next thing will be what you did as well, is addressing that with your kid. Mommy, daddy, whomever you are, respond to you in a way that I feel really wasn't helpful at that time. Right.
And I had to apologize. Like I threw the apology in, and I know a lot of y'all feel you're not supposed to apologize to kids. I do. So there's that.
So, and that's something, but real side tip, a kid is a person. Yes. That's just what it is. So if you do something that results where an apology should be done, do it. Because with not doing it, it gives the unsaid, unverbal message that adults are right.
Right. Even when they did wrong, even when they're harming you.
Right. Yeah. And that's a whole nother thing. But the blanket of it all is that we all know everybody's not perfect. We all know we all make mistakes despite our age. Yes. So you going to Kayla and apologizing to her is a great thing.
Thank you.
It also opens, you're welcome. I said, we're working on this accepting of acknowledgement here.
Right.
But, but also it creates so many different things. It creates a safe environment for feelings that don't feel good. Mm-hmm. It creates a safe place to have conversation about different subjects, topics, situations. And it creates a deeper bond. A lot of parents assume that, oh, I'm the mama, I'm the daddy, I'm the uncle, I'm the whoever. My child's supposed to come to me. No, they're not.
Yeah, they go where they're comfortable.
They go where they're comfortable, and they go where they're safe. So with that being said, what are you doing to foster and to pour into the deeper level of trust with your child? Mm-hmm. As your child gets older, things like you're supposed to work on your different relationships. I can't assume here. That's the same work, that an effort, I should say, the same effort that should be put in consistently with your children. Absolutely. So apologizing. And then change.
And that part.
Then follow through with the different behavior, with the different action.
All right. And then we have bully parenting. That was another subject that we had. And that covered, I feel like that probably covered so much.
Right.
Because people were like, that's not bully parenting. Really?
When you get the look, we've all got the look.
Right. The look is bully parenting too?
It is. I'm unfortunately part of that.
I mean, because let me so my daughter goes, that's your mean smile. And it's just me going like this.
But what is it? What does that mean? What does she say that means?
It means what she said is my mean smile. I'm saying this is giving you an opportunity to reset yourself, to correct yourself, to refocus. Like this is me not reacting immediately, but rather like smiling, because it sends those endorphins to your brain. Is that what it is? Or dopamine, whatever it is. It sends something to your brain. So the smile is me, allowing you to check you. That's what the smile is.
Well, then that's when you verbalize that. I'm going to give you a moment.
But sometimes when I'm verbalizing, I'm not as conscious.
So that's when you say, I'm giving myself a moment to get my thoughts together. So
it's
that
not
when I speak
giving
to
her
you,
a moment. Because that's what I was doing.
Well, you may need the moment. It sounds like you needed the moment first before you can verbalize to give her the moment.
See what happens when we have a therapy session in front of everybody. Now I'm over here feeling some kind of way.
No, some kind of way. We all learn it. It's not always perfect. You know,
It's not.
when you are at a place where you feel that you cannot communicate with your child,
Mhm.
and I know when I say calmly, don't get me wrong, we can speak assertively. You know, sometimes assertive does not mean yell.
Mhm.
Assertive does not mean shout. The tone does change, however.
Absolutely.
But if you feel that you cannot consistently speak to your child in a way to where you're not yelling it at the top of your lungs, you need a moment.
Absolutely.
And the way that your child understands what that is, what that looks like, what you do when you're feeling that way, is that you have to tell them what you're doing so it can register in their brain. Oh, that's what you do.
Oh, I
when
figured
you're
she picked
upset.
up on it, but all right.
And that's what a lot of parents say.
I figured she
And I'm
picked up
saying,
on it, but
and that's
she
when they go
said,
to the mountain, like they're mind
"Oh,
readers now.
she giving her mean smile. Let me get myself together." I just assumed that
So
that's
now
what
if
we
you
were on
said,
that.
Kayla, this is the mean smile, then
Well, I never said that.
oh, and she
named
said
it
it. So
that.
this is the smile to get yourself together. But if, even so, let's say that is a smile. If you never communicated that to her and what that meant, you cannot assume that she knows what that means.
Okay. I just figured she was misnaming it. All right. So look.
No, it's called the mean smile for a reason.
And this is called The Real on Parenting on Brownstone Worldwide for a reason. All right. Okay. What was our next one?
I want to say it was the co-parenting, but it doesn't matter.
It wasn't. It was teaching because we had the
Oh, that was the last
respectful
two. Okay.
teaching respectful behavior.
Yes.
And then there was the parents and adult needs. So teaching respectful behavior, we talked about quite a few things. So how to communicate, making sure that we are, what was it?
Say displaying that I'll say displaying the behavior that you're wanting your child to
model.
Thank you, because I'm about to say display. You can't use the same word in the same sentence. Anyway, what she said, like it's not coming together. But yes, but also with that, the communication factor in regards to this is y'all, my dog.
Listen,
I'm in the whole cathedral.
Right. We're doing the whole
cathedral. So, and I don't even understand why.
Listen, but we here, and the real on parenting mean the real in the house, the real outside noise, the real. So listen, we are.
If you hear a dog, you do. Okay, you're not crazy. But
so we're talking about teaching respectful behavior.
But then within that, so now I'm confused stuff.
What we were modeling, right? Like modeling the behaviors that we want our children to emulate and to also do. And so that was not easy on any level,
right?
Because a lot of us grew up with the do as I say, not as I do.
Right.
And so when we do that, right, our children grow up going, but what you do speak so loud that I don't hear what you say. And so we have hypocritical parenting in that time, right? Like it's don't smoke weed, but I'm a smoke, or don't smoke cigarettes or whatever, but I'm a smoke, but I don't want you to do it. Then it's, don't have sex, but then we got people flowing in and out, and we got a different so and so all the time.
And just so you know, your kids know.
They know.
I'm just gonna put that out there.
I knew.
So come on.
I mean,
your kids.
It was my dad.
Yeah,
but it was still.
Your kids are not dumb. You didn't raise no dumb children.
So right.
They know.
So when my parents would close the door, I knew what that meant, right? Like it's just. I know it's mom and dad, but
it's mind your business time, okay? Right. That's what that is, mind your business.
At the same time, as a single woman,
right?
I'm very conscious of that,
as
right?
You should be.
I do not bring, because I do want Kayla to see sex as a covenant between a man and a wife, right? Like, so and that's my personal thing. Like, do not at me, do not call me. Like, I get to have my opinion, and you get to have your opinion.
Right
over there,
right.
How I'm raising her, like and I understand that her hormones are gonna be raging, right? And that's gonna look like emotional like crying for no reason. That's gonna look like attitudes for no reason. That's gonna look like over the top
Our daughter's in that
responses.
same phase of a lot of emotion.
Right. Last night she was just like, "Mommy, I can't stop crying," and I was just like, "What's wrong?" She was like, "Nothing happened. I just can't." So I was like, "Well, come on,"
Yeah.
and I just held her. Right. I didn't get that growing up.
Yeah.
Like my mother was like, "Girl, what is wrong?"
Yes,
with
as
you?"
my mama said, she can do everything else, mathematics, statistics, all these numbers and graphs, but she don't do feelings. That's what she don't do.
Miss Donna don't do
She
feelings.
said it, she confirmed it about a month ago, and I said, so that's what's wrong with me.
Let me go back. You should watch episode 1. You should.
Anyways, so I digress.
Should we dare get our moms on the show? I don't think we ready. I don't think we ready for that. Maybe y'all might be, but we are not ready for that.
Censoring for.
I mean, we can tell them to pretend like they at church, and then, but no, because I can see both of our mamas set it off at church. So
and then we be running. Anyway,
that's where we get that from. You know what? We should just start blaming them for our personality quirks.
Well, my mama know because I tell her, so she's aware.
Did I just snort?
She's aware. But yes, so the teaching the respectful behavior is a really, really self-accountability, self-awareness.
Yes.
And a constant, ongoing thing that as a parent you need to work on. Absolutely. Those things that your children do that kind of run you up the wall, guess what? They got it from you. They got it from you, or they got it from some other parent or adult figure that they're around. Doesn't necessarily have to be in your household, but because
it could be a teacher. We talked about that too, like how I could tell what Kayla's teachers were doing by how she was when she would play school, how she would treat them, and I noticed how she was treating the boys, and so I had to like step in because it's like. Why are you talking to these boys like this? Why are you favoring the boys? I mean, I'm favoring the girls over the boys. All of that matters. It does.
Yes. So being mindful of yourself, but also who you have your children around. And even though they may say, this person do this, but you don't do it. And granted, everybody's situation is different. Don't get me wrong. However, then let's work on limiting that person's access to your child.
Absolutely. So. And that's a real thing. Yeah. Okay. And then we talked about parenting adult children.
Yes. As my adult son, he just left last week.
I think we came to the conclusion that we can demote you to visitor and move on with our day.
And there's a recap. But no, with that though, there has to be consistent communication. Those expectations of what you're wanting your adult child to do needs to be verbalized. You need to say it verbatim. Right. You cannot assume that they already know because they've been in your house for 18 years. No.
And setting that boundary because there is a difference between an adult dependent and a roommate.
Yes.
I don't need a roommate. So if you're an adult dependent, follow the rules.
Yeah, true. And with that is like, as the parent of your adult child, if your adult child doesn't comply, or if they verbally say okay because they're trying to have somewhere to stay, right? But within the real life of the day to day, they're not following through or adhering to what they agreed upon. Then it's yes. Here's your date on when you have to have somewhere else to live.
And we make no apologies for that.
So, and no, that's not mean. No, that doesn't mean that you don't love them because guess what? In society, if you don't pay your bills, guess what? Stuff get turned off.
Right.
You're homeless.
And
your car's gone.
If you go to work and you're not following instructions,
you're fired.
You're fired.
So there's that place of, as a parent, despite your child being an adult, that you still are modeling the structure of the world, right. The accountability, the responsibility, and you still have that influence by way of how you respond of still teaching your adult children.
Absolutely. And then we had our series, our co-parenting series that we did, where we were talking about all the things co-parenting from our both for both of our perspectives. So Danielle as a mom and bonus mom, me as a single woman co-parenting with someone who has a significant other, right? And so it was a lot. And so one of the things that I remember saying was the wins factor. Like it's only a win if my daughter wins. If she loses and I win, that's still an L, right? It's and I don't care if I lose so long as she wins. It's only a win when she wins. And that's because sometimes as the mom, I gotta go, let me not interfere with his parenting because he gets to parent. And that can be very hard for us ladies. Like, let me just
Very.
That can be very hard because we want things to go how we want them to go, especially when we feel we know best, especially if, let's just say, the other parent is only financially contributing, right? And they're like, well, I got just as much rights. No, you don't, but that's a whole nother thing.
That's a different series.
That's a different series. But the real is like, if we're parenting together and you're just financial and I'm mental, emotional, physical, and I gotta be at all the things, like it's not an equal say, but at the same time, like you can't just cut them out. You can't just say,
Right.
So we were talking about how that wins, like what a win looks like and how that makes for us, right? Like how we are co-parenting and we talked about the struggles.
Yes,
The challenges.
the challenges. Yeah, the different structure of homes, the different expectations, what's allowed, what's not allowed. And with that, just I said the mantra, reminding yourself that you can only control your household,
right?
And I didn't mention this, but when your children are transitioning from one household to another, or just one parent to another, give them time to emotionally and mentally transition as well. I don't think I mentioned that.
Right, having that adjustment period.
Yes, because
and don't limit it because to
and
what
I was
you're
just about to
comfortable.
say, and there is no time frame. This and that. If it's been a year, come on now. But it's been 2 days. It's been a week. But every other weekend, your child is, visiting between each parent. So just be mindful of that.
So one thing I learned from you in that series you said that you like to pull from strengths. And so you would say it was very helpful when you let us know ahead of time that language and thinking of it in that, like, okay, how can I, instead of being like, finally, like, oh, you finally,
right.
You can't
you did what you're supposed to do.
Right. And I'm not giving you a cookie for it.
Right.
So, pulling from the strength. And it was very helpful when you told us ahead of time. Like I was just like, oh, I'm writing that down, right? Because I'll be taking notes. So that was very helpful for me.
Okay. Well, I'm glad that was helpful. And so, and I'll say that, thank you for sharing that. But with that, when you are acknowledging helpful pieces, it is, I would say, just to keep it real, it is not to make the other parent feel good. That is not the purpose. That may be the result as they're experiencing, but that is not the purpose. The purpose is to create a open, healthy, effective platform of communicating. And I go back to toddler behavior. When you want to see more of something that they did, you acknowledge that. Let's fast forward to adulthood. When you want to see more of something of somebody did, you acknowledge that. Like it doesn't change. So you being specific in regards to, it was helpful when you dropped them off at the time you said, that way I may give some wiggle room. But, either way it goes, or it was helpful that, you sent me a quick text saying you're on your way. It lets me know I can get ready and prompt me to do other things. That was very helpful. Thank you. It's not about nobody, being a loser. Oh, well, yeah, exactly. Right. Like they got me. No, it's nothing of that sort. It really does allow a platform of having open, supportive, healthy communication.
Absolutely. And so in this series, we hope that you have learned just who we are individually, right? I am a life coach by trade and a training and development specialist. Danielle is a marriage and family therapist. Let's talk about the difference.
Yes, let's
Because
do
that
that right quick.
it comes up often, I think. And people feel like therapy and coaching cannot exist in the same space.
They can.
They absolutely can.
But the person who's a therapist and the person who's a coach has to understand, but also stay in their lane. That's just what it is.
Right.
So.
Right. So that came up because just in a Facebook post recently, and I was like, listen, I tell my clients all the time, and Danielle feels like I could say this better, and I kind of agree. But there have been times when I've said to people like, you know what? I am a life coach. You need a therapist, right? The life coach comes after the therapy, in my opinion, because like you got to deal with whatever that past trauma is. Now, if you don't have a past trauma and you're like, listen, I need that coaching, I need some guidance, I need some motivation, I need somebody to hold me accountable, like those things. Perfect. That I'm your girl.
Right.
But if you got, and it's not that I can't have a conversation with you, it's not that I can't be a listening ear, it's not that I can't give great advice, but I'm not a therapist. So when it comes to your trauma, when it comes to, you trying to dig yourself out, I can be a friend if you're not my client, right? I can be a friend and help you. I've sat with many friends inside the trenches, right? Like being that support. And it's like, okay, you ready to climb out? All right, look, I'm gonna push, and I need you to pull, right?
Right.
But what is the role of the therapist so that people are clear?
Yeah, so with a licensed therapist is clinically trained in psychology. And that's the background, and then from there is the various classes, the training, the extensive training, and also the therapist who's in training has to get as well.
Right.
So when a person has experienced various life experiences, some people don't call it trauma. It could just be something that they've been through that because it was X amount of years ago, and or when someone is clinically experiencing a clinical mental diagnosis, that is not coach worthy. There is certain certifications, educations, and licensing that is needed to address that. Let me side note. Not every therapist is a good therapist. I'm just gonna say that.
Right. I was gonna say because there's therapists that are using very archaic methods.
I'm just gonna say that.
There are therapists who default to medicine when that's not something that's needed. Yeah.
Yes. So with that, given with what I said, with that, there is that aspect of being able to assist a person through processing their trauma, processing their life experiences, being able to get to a place of actually going through all the feelings. Also understanding how is that affecting now? Right. Why is that still affecting me now? How is that affecting me functioning now? And then what do I want to do with it? Because with me, at this point, it's a choice. And we're not saying the same song over and over and over. Granted, we understand you went through it, but you did the work. So what are you going to do differently?
Right. And can I
go ahead?
Your pastor, he ain't a therapist.
Yeah,
right. He is actually a therapist.
Yes, I was watching I watch YouTube, and the person, Ty Tribbett, he was on there. What's his name, Terrell? And they were talking about it, and he was saying, because I was trying. I'm horrible with names, so I was saying a real name just in case it was the wrong name. We can kind of do a voiceover, but it was Terrell was saying the pastor ain't your therapist, and Ty Tribbett said yes, and I said yes. It was we all were in agreement because they're not.
Right. And so
they're not.
Yes,
what did the
you
pastor
can go
say?
to them and get that biblical instruction, get those biblical references that you can apply. That doesn't mean like you can listen, for my church folks, you can believe God and go to therapy.
Yes.
You can believe God.
He said, it says, build upon your faith. See, I was listening that time. I said, wait a minute, let me put down what I'm doing.
You was listening that time?
Yes.
Okay.
Build upon your faith. Okay. You don't replace the faith. Faith doesn't get you through trauma.
Now, I won't say faith doesn't get you through trauma, because there have been times where I was pulling on my faith to pull me through.
Sure,
right?
But let me speak more globally in regards to that aspect.
Okay, all right.
What I'm saying is that the whole picture, once you've been through it, once you've gone through it, and you've gone on with your life, you're functioning from day to day. There are aspects that faith in that moment is not going to address what you need.
Right.
And don't come from me. Yes, I believe God. I'm just trying to explain to y'all. Okay.
Right.
So
and we mean don't come.
Yes. But with that, there are certain aspects of what you're experiencing in that moment may require certain things, that the proper support outlet. That's what I'm saying.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I agree with that. So we hope that you have enjoyed this season with us. Thank you for riding with these two girls from Compton. Loving and appreciating you, hoping that you appreciate the value that we bring. We would love to hear from you. What is our email? I just said it earlier.
TheRealOnParenting@gmail.com.
There you go. Yes. And we're excited. You can hit us up on Instagram. You can join our Facebook group. I think we have a page in the group, right? Yeah. Do we have both? We definitely got a group.
Whichever one you see, that's what we got. Listen, but it is up there. The Real Parenting.
We don't always know. I'm just being honest.
It's there. It's there. One up.
All right. I am Coach Kiana Shaw.
And I'm therapist Danielle.
And we are The Real on Parenting. Keep riding with us until we meet again. Drink your water, eat your vegetables, take your vitamins, and mind your business.
Bye.